What drives me in the morning, I think it's the journey. One of the things about life is, getting to the top of the mountain isn't necessarily the prize. You get up there and you say, okay, what's next? What happens from here? The journey is what it's about.
This is a man who changed the way we eat, not only here in Australia, but around the world. From the lessons learned as a door-to-door salesman in Canada, to the gridiron field and wrestling ring, to taking a gamble on foreign shores. Jack Cowin has a wealth of knowledge to share and more than a story or two about life as an entrepreneur.
What is an entrepreneur? It is a strange combination of a microbiologist and an astronomer. The astronomer looks through his telescope at the stars. He's got the big picture. He's dreaming, where's the next planet, where's the comets going? He is out there looking at outer space and taking the big horizon. The microbiologist, he's looking into the detail. He's into the minutia of whatever he's examining. And the unique thing about an entrepreneur is if he's only one of those, the likelihood is he will fail. The entrepreneur has to be able to be a cross between the two of those.
Sometimes when you go back to the beginning, we can see more clearly in reflection the things that have helped shape the person we are today and who helped guide those first steps.
The early days of me getting involved in business was I had a job when I was going through university as a door-to-door salesman, and I was quite successful at it. Anyone that can sell door-to-door as a salesman, it's the greatest education you ever learn in your life, because everyone that opens the door says, no, we don't want any. And of the people in my life that probably had the most influence, probably my father was probably the most meaningful. Yeah, I think he taught me that you can achieve whatever you want if you work hard enough, put the focus on, and put the energy into it. He gave me the self-confidence to have a go at what I was going to try. Not everything works, but if you do put the energy and have that concentrated focus, you probably got a better chance of being successful.
Jack has made some bold and courageous decisions in his journey. Sometimes it's about knowing when and where to take the risks.
One of the problems when you get involved with international big conglomerate companies is they have a tendency to want to push the little guy around, and I was a little guy compared to some of the companies that we were associated with. And at one stage of the game, this one particular company decided that they wanted to buy our business. And I said, well, what if we don't want to sell? If you don't want to sell, we'll make it difficult for you, and we'll come in and compete with you, which they did, and we'll stop you from being able to grow, which they couldn't do, but they tried. Anyway, 5 years later, $8 million in legal fees were in court to try and get a decision. I would have folded if I thought they were going to be reasonable. The toughest day of my life was if we lost, we probably would have cost us $50 million in back fees and their legal fees, everything went. So 10 o'clock on a Friday morning, the decision comes down and we won $70 million in damages against that company. That was probably the toughest. You have to be prepared to have some failure if you're going to be successful. So we've tried various things that haven't worked. It's cost us money. But I look on failure as a learning experience rather than a failure. But if you're not prepared to take some of those challenges on, you're never going to have the ultimate success.
Many entrepreneurs like Jack are looked up to as an inspiration, so it's fascinating to find out who or what inspires them.
When I came to Australia, I had great admiration for starting from scratch, for those that also did that. Private companies, building every dollar, goes back into the business. How do we expand and grow? I also have respect for those that, it's kind of the opposite somewhat of the analogy of those that are building a business, but they do it without great reward financially. And as I say, the school teachers in life, not highly rewarded. Some of those people donate their life for others. They do it without kind of a system of reward. They do it for the rest of the world and try and make this a better place to live. So I also have respect for them as people that I've got to know and have influenced my life.
Entrepreneurs are viewed as being more than successful in business. They are people who challenge, reshape, and transform business.
When I arrived here, I came in 1968 for a 3-week look-see at the invitation of a couple friends that were working on whether the fast food business would work in Australia. In 1968, the convenience, fast food, whatever you want to call it, industry, food service business consisted of Chinese restaurants, fish and chip shops, and white tablecloth fancy restaurants. That was it. Here we are now, 50 plus years later. I'm involved in a business that has probably transformed the way people eat. That particular trip, the first Sunday night, we were at a party, and I had the job with another to go pick up some Chinese food, and stood in line with 50 other people with a little number on your ticket that they call out when your order is ready. So you didn't have to be Albert Einstein to say, hey, here's a business opportunity that we could take advantage of. Probably the thing that I would think we're probably the most proud of, we employ 20,000+ people. So we've given jobs and opportunities, and a lot of the jobs, it's first jobs for people, young kids getting started. What drives me in the morning, I think it's the journey. One of the things about life is, getting to the top of the mountain isn't necessarily the prize. You get up there and you say, okay, what's next? What happens from here? The journey is what it's about. And I've been in business for 60 years, and I have an expression: when you can't tell the difference between work and play, you're in the right place.
I want to thank Jack for sharing his insights and knowledge on what has been and continues to be an incredible journey through business and life in Australia. A fascinating insight at what lies at the heart of the entrepreneur.